Hi, this is Don Evans, and I'm pleased and honored to participate in Chicago Classics. It was difficult for me to choose just one book out of the vast array of wonderful Chicago literature, but ultimately I chose Frank London Brown's Trumbull Park. This novel was published in 1959. Frank London Brown was a young writer, but he'd already won the praise of Gwendolyn Brooks and Richard Wright, among others. He had made significant contributions in journalism, covering the Emmett Till trial, as well as the jazz scene in Chicago. But just 3 years after this book was published, in 1962, Frank London Brown passed away from leukemia. He has been selected to the next class of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame and will be inducted in September of this year if circumstances permit. I'm going to read a little bit from chapter 2. I didn't know we had so much junk. That moving truck was full. We had a hard time convincing Diane and Luella we'd come back to see their little friends. We had a hard time convincing our friends we'd come back to see them. We left the building in fear. I didn't believe that anyone could leave that place. Big and dreary red, the Gardner building, a live thing that was almost human itself, eating and sleeping, always a restless sleep, but still sleeping. Then, like real people do, a lot of times killing more than any one man or woman I know of. We had gotten up early in the morning, almost tiptoeing around our 3-room apartment, sometimes knocking over brooms and buckets, trying so hard to keep quiet. Didn't want to disturb the kids, didn't want to disturb nothing. Oh, we were getting away, and we couldn't believe it. Getting out of jail through the front door. The great, big, raggedy door with chalk and crayon writing all over it swung open for us to run through. But we walked through, telling everybody goodbye as we went. Walked not because we didn't want to run, but because we didn't want something to happen at the last minute to draw us back behind those big, stinking walls. So we walked and said goodbye and climbed into Red's big open-end truck and ran to Trumbull Park. Now I'm going to skip and read just a little bit later in the book. And this is after the first day in the new public housing complex, which was near Gary, Indiana. Finally, the bus reached Western, where the West Side buses finish their trips and the East Side buses begin theirs. I jumped off of the bus and ran and hopped on the eastbound bus just as the doors were closing. More dry goods stores, more chanting, more time dragging by. Cottage Grove! I broke for the side door. One more streetcar ride and then home. Then I remembered that I'd have to call the police department to take me home in a patrol wagon. It didn't take the southbound bus long to get to 95th and Cottage. Now it seemed to me I was getting home too fast. I went to the phone in the filling station at the northeast corner and I dialed Essex 55910. It rang a few times, then a voice belched from the other end. Headquarters 9, Officer Street speaking. This is Buggy Martin. Who? Lewis Martin. Where are you, Martin? 95th and Cottage Grove. We'll send the wagon after you within 15 minutes or so. 30 minutes later, that dusty black patrol wagon rumbled around the corner of 95th. The same 2 guys were driving it. They didn't open their mouths. One of them unlocked the back door and went back to a seat beside the driver. I pulled the door open and climbed in, and the long ride began. We bumped around corners, bumped up hills, bumped over cobblestones and railroad tracks. Then I smelled the garbage dump and knew that I was almost home.